So growing up in Palmdale, man, I look, I spent some time at Palmdale, Lancaster Sports Complex, youth soccer. What do you remember about your childhood growing up in Palmdale?
Mostly that, man. That sport complex and playing almost every weekend there. Like that was like the go-to spot and like what everybody looked forward to, like National Cup, State Cup, using those fields. I remember even they had like the fields in the back
Yeah.
hidden that they used to call the FIFA fields. I
I forgot
hardly even
about
played
that.
them. Yeah, I hardly even played on them to be honest. But the
Yeah.
times that I did see them, they were very nice. So those tournaments, playing with my friends growing up, and then obviously the outside of the field. I think that was like the biggest thing for me, as
Hmm.
I knew I had a soccer life, but then I would transition into like myself and my own like little life that I had outside of soccer, that I could just be me and not this, I guess, kid that is known for
Mm.
his skills and
Yeah.
and what he does on the soccer field, because I hardly played soccer in school with friends or
Really.
anybody. I grew up playing basketball, football,
That's
any
crazy.
other any other sport. Like nobody played soccer, so I
Even
had
in
like a
Palmdale.
well in like school for school. If like all my friends,
That's
I
crazy.
didn't have one friend that really played soccer.
That's
Like
wild. I
yeah,
used
I
to hide it
only
growing up when I was playing. Like
really.
I never told like I mean they played it like pickup
Hmm.
on the field at lunch and people didn't know I played soccer until I was in high school, bro. I used to
Oh
hide it. I don't
wow.
know why. I was like ashamed at it about it. And then
Yeah.
when I got on the field, they're like, "Yo, this guy, he's nice, bro." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I play on the weekends." They're like, "How for
Yeah.
how long?" I was like, "Pretty much my whole life, you know?"
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't hide it. I guess the group that I was associating with,
Hmm.
they were so focused on, basketball and football. I guess I was just like, well, if I want to hang out with these guys, like, I'm just gonna have to,
Yeah.
commit into that and not really ignore all the guys that are playing soccer and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I did.
So when you obviously your mom is from El Salvador, your dad is Mexican.
Mhm.
Growing up, what do you when you think about it? What's nostalgic about your childhood and what home was like, maybe around the holidays or just in
Mhm.
general on the day to day?
Yeah, no, I mean, around the holidays and day to day, it was mostly like the Mexican tradition side. Just because like my dad's side of the family was a little bit bigger, like they had more siblings and cousins compared to my mom's side. My mom was only she was the only girl in the family with her
Really?
parents.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she has one brother, so it wasn't a big family. But we did spend some weekends with my grandmother and
Hmm.
and my uncle and his two kids and stuff, my cousins. But yeah, it was mostly like the Mexican side, because my mom, I guess, she when she married my dad and such, he was always around his family, and so she kind of
Yeah.
had to commit to that, and so she learned a lot of the Mexican tradition sides of the food, the
Right.
culture, and like even for holidays and stuff, and what they like to do. So
Yeah.
she would even say probably that she was going into that Mexican side of being that Mexican wife or so, even though she was Salvadorian.
Yeah. No, that's dope. I remember growing up, the first coach I had was Salvadorian, and pretty much
Mm,
everybody that I hung out with, like I felt like I grew up in a Salvi household.
yeah.
I ate pupusas on the weekend, tortas, everything you can
Hmm.
think of it, like everything, bro. So
Yeah.
the food is,
Delicious.
even to this
Oh,
day, bro. Like
I can go get pupusas right now,
which is crazy because
honestly.
like my family's from Jamaica, so whenever my friends came over, Salvies, they don't, y'all do not like spicy food, bro. My friends would come over and my mom would make spaghetti, and my
Yeah.
boys are like sweating. They're like, "What did you put
Yeah.
in here?" And this is little pepper, bro. Me and my brother like, "What's wrong with y'all?" Looking over at them like they got IBS or something, But
Yeah.
yeah, no, the Salvadorian culture is something else. Obviously you've gone on, you've had an amazing career so far. We're going to go back to it, but I feel like this is a
Hmm.
good time to jump into it. What made you want to play for El Salvador? Obviously, you
Hmm.
represented the U.S. youth national teams at pretty much every level, but then at the senior level, you made the switch. Was it something that was like jarring, or did you feel like, you know what, I'm kind of going back to my roots here?
No, I mean, I think it was a pretty simple decision, and just kind of the track record of what was going on in the U.S. soccer, men's side of it, the senior level. at the time, once I got away from the U19, U20 of the US, I wasn't really getting, called up as much as I used to and
Hmm.
wasn't really given the opportunities and kind of seeing what was going on with the senior level as well. I can tell like looking back at, my background, there wasn't a lot of still Hispanic Americans that were getting caught
Yeah.
up. So it was kind of like maybe this isn't, you know, an opportunity where I can continue waiting for. And El
Yeah.
Salvador showed interest. So I was kind of like, I'm a loyal guy and I want to know that I'm wanted and
Yeah.
respected. So
Right.
when they came, calling and showing their interest in me, it showed that they were caring about wanting me as a player and also see my attributes and that I can really help the senior national team and but also Hugo Perez was one of the key factors as well.
Hmm.
He obviously represented both countries, and now he used to be my U.S. national team coach as well.
Oh,
And
sick.
hearing that he was
Mhm.
also transitioning into the Salvador national team coach, kind of was like, okay, well, I know the head coach, he knows me.
Right.
This could possibly work out for the best,
Yeah.
and now, and also, yeah, kind of going back to giving, my other half of my side of the family and, my roots an opportunity to represent, them and my name and my mom,
Yeah.
she really saw me represent everything else on the other side, but now having the opportunity to go and represent her and do this for, her background and her,
Yeah.
family, it was something that, I wanted to do.
Yeah, that must have been special, man. I feel like there's a lot of conversations, especially right now in the country with dual nationals and
Hmm.
you see it more often, but like right now it's a tough time, bro. My family's from Jamaica. We
Yeah.
didn't exactly like we're still in the World Cup running, but it's tough, right? But a lot of the
Hmm.
conversation is the idea that dual nationals really don't care about
Hmm.
how the national team does, and I think it doesn't make sense. I for
Hmm.
me, like I'm Jamaican American or American Jamaican, however you want to split it. But I recognize later on in my career, probably past the time when Jamaica was looking, that I would possibly want to represent Jamaica, and that's one of
Hmm.
the regrets of my career. But you had the wherewithal to actually, give El Salvador a chance, and vice versa, and play for
Hmm.
them. But do you feel, like, I'm a proud Salvatrucha. I'm also
Hmm.
a Mexican, right? And I'm also American. And when I step on the field, like, there's no holding back. There's no I'm gonna give 50% or whatever. Do you feel fully Salvadorian when you step on the field?
Oh, 100%.
Mhm.
And I think that's like the message that still needs to be recognized and passed on to like the fans there and the federation. 'Cause
Yeah.
I closed doors or what's going on over there and such, but I I know for a fact that every call up I've gotten and minutes I've played with the national team, I've given it my all, and I'll always be that kind of player and that kind of man. That no matter what country, what club team, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna give my all for that team because I'm a competitive person. I want to win. I want to compete, and I want to play against the best. And that's one thing about me. So those opportunities and such, like I've always said, I'm Salvadorian ever since I made that switch. I even to this day, I get mad when our club team they have like game day posters, right, to give to the
Hmm.
fans and such. And some games I have a U.S. flag, some games I have a Salvadorian flag, and it's just like,
Yeah.
dude, no, I
Yeah.
want the Salvador flag. That's all I need
Yeah.
because that's who I represent, and like
Right.
that's my national team, and that's who I am as a person. And yes, I'm gonna say I'm half Mexican as well because that's also who I am. But I always say I'm Salvadorian first, and that's who I'm always gonna be.
I love that, bro, because I feel like there's this negativity around it, and
Hmm.
I feel just as much of Jamaican as I do my American side, and I
Yeah.
think that sometimes people need to hear it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? People need to hear it.
Hmm.
Do you have a full
Yeah.
on Salvi accent now, or Was it like?
No, dude, their accent is hard for sure. I
Yeah.
barely can even get my Mexican accent out. But no, but I remember when I first made the switch, obviously I was still with the U23s getting ready for the like pre-Olympic
Yeah.
qualifying. And so when I met those guys, I tried picking up as much as the accent and the
And the
the
slang.
yeah, this other
Yeah.
slang because it was completely different. And
Yeah.
they would make fun of me because they knew I was like
Yeah.
I sounded more Mexican for sure because that's the way I grew up.
Right.
But no, there was a great group of guys, man. They really took care of me. They really looked after me. But yeah, to this day I still keep in contact with some of them. They're funny guys, man.
Yeah.
There were some characters on that U23 team, man.
So when you think about back to your youth days, you were one of the top players in the country,
Hmm.
at every stage, right? And I always, I was talking to my brother and I was like curious, we know the training that we did was completely not normal, right?
Hmm.
It was completely different. What was your training like? What set you apart from everyone else? Why were you so special, especially at the youth age?
I wouldn't even say it was so much the training. I mean, from what I remember, my dad, like he really took upon himself, like outside of just being like a dad. I feel like he was more of my coach than so
Hmm.
much of my of a father,
Mm,
because like that was like his main focus, and he knew that we had that relationship in the soccer side. And I feel like off the field was more of like, yeah, my mom and I, outside of any sports, we had that
yeah,
relationship with school,
yeah,
chores, like any kind of thing. And, I think my father took upon himself of like, yes, I'm your coach and you're going to have other coaches, when you grow up in your teams, but I'm always going to be your coach. So outside of season, outside of even training days, where he's taking me one on one himself, and we're working on things that he knows that will make me a better player, and then also challenging me and not having me like stay and play at my own age level.
yeah,
I, so once I kind of started playing club, he knew and wanted to put me up against, bigger, stronger guys that were always a year or two older than me.
hmm,
And once I did that and I kind of got the confidence that I can compete against these guys, it stuck that way all the way until my professional career, honestly.
yeah. I feel like that's the secret, honestly.
Hmm.
Because for me, it was the same thing. The extra training, obviously, you can never do what
Yeah.
everybody else is doing, but most importantly, playing a year up or 2 years up.
Hmm.
Because when I was growing up, my brother he played, in the local Hispanic leagues and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
he's an 89. I'm a 91, so I was playing against some old dudes, guys with
Yeah,
beards and a mortgage and
exactly.
something to fight for. And then by the time I got to club, bro, I was like playing my age group. I was like, man, I
Yep.
could play 3 games, But
Yeah.
that's something I feel like people need to hear more of because I feel like only in this country do we really restrict kids to
Hmm.
every year. It's like
Hmm.
U9, U10. Everywhere else, it's always U14, U17, U20, and
Yeah.
you just figure it out. And I think that accelerates the growth, players.
Yeah, no,
So
it for sure does. And I mean, that's one thing I always say to like clients of myself when I do private sessions, like the parents and even the player themselves is like, if you like, they'll come, right, they'll be so excited to see me. They're talking about, oh, I scored this amount of goals, or I did
yeah,
this in this game.
yeah,
It's like, all right, you're constantly telling me you're scoring like 5 goals a game. Well, let's let's see if you can do it in a maybe a year
yeah,
older or two. Try to challenge yourself. And I think
right,
that's like one thing. Yeah, the U.S. Soccer industry doesn't focus on is kind of wanting to challenge the kids in a way where they're scared to see them fail and like be upset, and
yeah,
kind of like that would give up the sport in that way,
yeah, yeah,
instead of just making them stay comfortable and stay with their age and have the success that they're having now, but then forgetting the big picture. And it's like everybody wants to be a pro. By the time you get to a pro, there isn't anybody that's going to stay at your age, or so.
exactly,
You're going to have younger, you're going to have older guys, you're going to have
right,
guys your age, but the game, everything's going to evolve, and guys are going to get older and younger, and people are going to get faster and stronger. And it's
yep,
just about trying to maintain yourself and
right.
find what works for you, and how can you continue to progress for a longer career and also have success.
And you just got to figure it out, right? That's the
Yeah, pretty
biggest thing.
much. Yeah, it's hard.
Exactly. It's hard. So take me back to you signing your first deal. Well, how did it feel when, you go out with the intention of, okay, this is a reality. I can possibly play at the highest level. And then you finally get there, right? Can you take me
Mhm.
back to that moment, what the feeling was like, and how, I mean, I'm sure your dad was very happy.
Yeah, no, no, I mean, my family were ecstatic when it happened. I was, by all means, super happy. It was like a relief for me because before I signed my first pro contract, I was on trial and everything in Europe, and I wasn't really following through with the whole FIFA change of the ruling with not
Mm,
having a European passport or background. So you weren't allowed to play until the age of 18. So that kind of pushed me back, and I wasn't fortunate enough to get something done. But
yeah.
then thankfully, I had the New York Cosmos that were interested, and them and my past agent at the time had a good relationship that they brought me in and gave me the opportunity. And yeah, I mean, I had a great 2 years there, and I see they're coming back, which is great and it's exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still remember that first day when I flew down to New York with my dad. We sat down with the coach Gio Savarese and the owners, and I was signing my first contract. I was all Nike geared up, the old
The
Nike
Nike
watch.
Tech.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
I didn't even wear a tech. I came in with just short sleeve. I was like, I love cold
that
weather. It does.
Ronaldinho vibe.
Yeah, I was like, this doesn't bother me, man. That's why I want to come play in New York. I love cold weather. I can live in the cold any time of the year, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was funny, man.
So obviously you signed your first deal, man. But I feel like at least most players that I talk to, there's like a welcome to the league moment. There's
Hmm.
something that kind of like, oh, this is different. I used to be the best player by
Yeah.
miles, and then all of a sudden, what was the hardest thing that you experienced your first couple years in the league?
Well, when I first signed with the Cosmos, that first year was NSL. It was a really competitive league. I didn't really know too much about it at the time, but once I, finally signed and started seeing the certain players that were playing in this league and kind of their background and their careers, they were very talented. So even the squad that we had at that year, like it was very tough to get minutes in, and I know it really messed with me mentally. And that's like one thing I've always touched on with when I give advice to younger kids and such is like that mental aspect of the game and of
Yeah.
life. It's very key because once you lose that, then you kind of start losing yourself and what
Yeah.
really got you there. And I'm like living proof of it. I've been through it multiple times, and it is very hard. But yeah, I finally until what the last I want to say it was the last 4 games of the season. I finally got the opportunity, and when I made my debut in July of 2016, that was like a moment I'll never forget. But also, I think we're playing Jacksonville Armada, and I tried to go in for like a tackle, but these guys are so much bigger. Like I go in, but at the same time, like I know like I don't want to get near them. So I even have the picture. It's like I'm diving in, but at the same time, like pulling my body back so that they could just fly through. And I don't remember exactly if I get hit or not, or it was one of my teammates that end up crushing into me. But I feel like I
Yeah.
got sandwiched, and yeah, I was like, oh, I'll take it though. At least I was on the field. It
Yeah.
was a cool 2 little minutes, but I'll take it.
Well, what did you look that some like that, right?
Hmm.
If for somebody that's not battle tested or who has struggled in life would just see that or listen to that and just think it's a story. I think it's something that you probably learned about yourself during that time when
Yeah.
that specific play happened. What did you learn about just your time? Obviously, you spent a little bit of time with the San Jose Earthquakes and then,
Hmm.
multiple teams throughout the USL. But what did you learn about yourself during those hard moments that shaped you into who you are right now, the player?
I think just the patience, the patience of the game and such, and kind of knowing and working on yourself mentally because in that time, like I was struggling with obviously being frustrated and upset because, like you said, we all go through the phases of being the best player and being the
Yeah.
guy, being top, but then like once you get to that pro level, like you're not seen that way as much
Yep.
anymore until you prove yourself. So that was like my main, focus of trying to get on that field so I can prove to everybody that I am this guy. I could be the top dog. But at the time, it wasn't meant to be for me, and I just had to work on myself mentally so that when I did get the opportunity like that day, I was ready for it and I can, do and show what I'm capable of. And it wasn't even for that day specifically. I guess just the fact of like stuck with it. I was still grinding and training, grinding for, any little minute I can get. But then the last game of the season is when I got my first real opportunity and I started. I ended up scoring, my first goal professionally in my first start, and we won 1-0. And that was kind of like,
Yeah.
that's like a dream come true right there. Like
Yeah.
I wanna play pro. I want to start, and on my debut, like I want to go.
There's no better
So
way.
yeah,
There's no
exactly.
better way.
But like you said, for San Jose, I went through it again because before getting to San Jose, I had I guess like they said, a breakout season for the Cosmos that brought San Jose's interest in me to sign me, and I was like, again, confidence
Yeah.
is high. I'm feeling good about myself. I'm like, okay, I did what I had to do here. And now I made the big jump to MLS, and now I'm gonna get my flowers. But then again, it was the same thing. Like, okay, I'm still a rookie. I'm young. I'm waiting for my opportunity. I'm not getting it. I'm getting frustrated, such. Mentally, I was lost to the
Mm.
point where I ended up going to a sports psychologist and kind of speaking to somebody about what I was going through and working on myself. And that really changed my life. That
Yeah.
changed my career. That changed everything because ever since that year and that time, I never had a downfall. I never had a mental like breakout again.
Yeah.
And I think that's shown, and I proved to myself that I can be who I always dreamt of being and the player that I want to be. And that's where all the success has came from.
When I think about that, after my career, I started doing therapy. And
Hmm.
I say here, 35 or 34, 34 or 35, I can't remember, but
Hmm.
far removed from the game. And I'm like, man, I wish I did that while I was playing because there's so many skills that I've learned through going through therapy that, would have served me well. But there's this
Hmm.
stigma, not only in the Jamaican culture, you don't go see nobody and talk about you got
Yeah.
some you know what I'm saying? Was it the same
Yeah.
for you growing up in
Yeah.
the yeah, and how did you tell your family about it? How did they take it, or what did they think?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I think that was like the biggest thing as well, like why I touch upon it so much because that's not like the first option. That's not even an option most of the time because
Hmm.
people see it as you being weak or being,
Yeah,
soft or whatnot.
we're
And
crazy.
yeah, or crazy, exactly. So I think what really helped me though was that I had a great circle in the soccer world of like teammates or even guys that played before me, and they really touched upon it like how you're saying now. Like once they retired or they start seeing their way out, they spoke to me about it like, if you're feeling this kind of way, this is what you're telling me, then you should go talk to somebody. It's not going
Mm.
to show any weakness or anything. It's just going to help you become a better player and the player that you want to be. And I really took that, to heart, and, had finally got the courage to go and speak up and kind of, find my way in that aspect. And, I think that I'm telling you that really helped me, you know, build character and build myself back up to the person I knew I could be. And yeah, after that, every year was better, and I got better as a player, and I got the opportunities that I eventually wanted.
So, what was the major breakthrough, right? Like, say, for instance, with me, my therapist was always like, look, you need to feel the feelings and embrace them and allow it to
Hmm.
pass through you. And I was like, look, lady, I came to you because I don't like the way this feels. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to feel this. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
then she held my hand and
Hmm.
walked me through it. And sure enough, what she was saying, it was like, okay. And that was my aha moment. Like,
Hmm.
what was the moment? What was you came in this way and you came out this way? What was the big thing that you got from those sessions?
That's pretty easy, and that's one thing I will never forget. His name was Jerry. He told me, and this was like a quote he would always use constantly at every session: control what you can control. right? And then to kind of explain that was like the only person that you can really control is yourself, your emotions, and your actions. So the type of person and the man that you want to be, that's all depending on you. You can't control the scenario of the game. You can't control the outcome or so. You can't control coach's decision. You can't control. There's a lot of things in this world and in life that is out of your control. But if as long as you can find a way to stay mentally prepared and mentally in present, that's the only way you'll be able to control the things that you as a person want, you know? So
Right.
control what you can control. And that was like a thing that really stuck out to me and I continue to live by. And that's like one, very important thing that I feel like in life outside of even sports is something that you should live by because we can't control everything and we can't force things as well.
So who did you decide that you wanted to be when you heard that? Right? Like
Hmm.
did you have an image of yourself where it's like, okay, I'm coming into practices and I'm not myself because I'm not playing, so maybe my
Hmm.
self-confidence is a little bit low. Maybe sometimes I don't know, but maybe sometimes I'm up here emotionally and then also my performances and then it's down here. Like what did you say, okay, I'm here, yeah, and
Hmm.
I'm going to control what I can control so I can be the man that I want to be. What did you envision that person looking like? And did you get there?
Yeah, no, I vision like pretty much knowing what my role can be or could be. Obviously, that was more of a role player and such, and trying to just be a good teammate and a good friend. So I kind of went into that aspect of like, okay, I'm gonna cut all these. Like I'm growing. I'm getting older. I need to stop these baby acts and such, and become a man. So that was one thing that I really wanted to take upon was like, all right, I'm just gonna shut my mouth, not show any emotions where the coaches can see, other than I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna work
Hmm.
hard. And I'm gonna grind, and then just be the role player pretty much. And then eventually, once I get to that, and I start seeing consistency of that, I'm being this role player. I'm getting on the roster. I'm getting a couple minutes here and there as subs. Then it's changed my mindset
Hmm.
again. Now I'm a role player, but now I want to be a starter. You know what I mean? What do I have to
Yeah.
do? What can I do? Such. But then also, I feel like what really went through everything for me and the change of my career was my last year at San Jose, where I kind of started getting that role player, um, mindset, and I kind of wanted to become that starter or even a higher role, but I wasn't getting those opportunities, and I only could control what I could control. So that was a time of like, okay, I'm not getting any younger. Let me speak up,
Hmm.
right? Because I'm sure everybody's timid to go into the coach's office and kind of have a
Yeah.
one-on-one talk about playing time and such, but that in reality, that
Uh,
goes on almost every day,
every
you
single day.
know? Yeah, it's just you never see it because it's behind closed doors with
Yeah.
certain players. But that was one thing I finally took. It took me 4 years to finally speak up, and I asked for a loan, and that kind of came upon me going into the USL a little bit more.
Yeah. And I think that's like a pivotal moment in your career where
Yeah.
you had these experiences beforehand, you went through a low, and
Hmm.
then once you saw sports psychologists, then you control what you control. You have a vision of who you wanted to be, you learned how to be a good teammate, and then you go into a new environment and you get to be whoever you want to be and they take you for that. So what was
Hmm.
that like when you get into your new environment and this is the new Eric that you're presenting, this is who you feel like this is who I am, and also I'm assuming you're coming into the locker room with a lot more experience than the other guys, right?
Hmm.
A little bit older and fully ready for the opportunity ahead. What was that like?
Oh no, honestly, I don't think you could have said it any better because I went in once I finally got that kind of done and that transition of going into a different environment and just starting over basically, but knowing that like I said before with El Salvador, seeing somebody interested in me and knowing that I can help and they're committed and bringing me over and playing right away, that just gives you a different kind of confidence and a different mentality. So right away from the bat was I went in there, try to, still do what I know I can do and also earn the respect of the guys because I'm coming in, they're knowing that, I'm coming from an MLS team and
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna be, playing right away and such. But at the same time, I don't want to just be just be it handed to me. I
Yeah.
want to still earn it, and that's where the competitiveness comes out. And but yeah, so going into that locker room, that team, that environment, starting over, being the person I want, and plus I was closer to home, so even better, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
And yes, I think that season itself shows and proves that I was ready for the moment and I was ready to make a change for myself.
Mhm.
And the vision that I had at that time and year was what I did envision, but it wasn't, I guess, meant for the MLS,
Yeah.
status until I went to USL. And yeah, they treated me really well there at Orange County, and I can't say nothing really bad, negative about them. And
Yeah.
it was a great experience, great year, and I was
He's like, I was
very
very
blessed to be a
happy
part of
about
it.
that.
Oh yeah,
Right.
no, it was a fun couple months there.
So you've obviously made a couple moves since then. You're currently in El Paso. You've reached over 100 career starts with the club, and you've changed as a man. You've got married. You had a son, and you had these moments, man, that I'm not envious of people. I don't envy
Mm,
you, but I think I wish I have two kids now, and I
nice.
wish I was able to walk out with my kids on a game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Talk to me a little bit
yeah,
about how having a family has changed you not only as a person, but also as a player.
yeah. No, that's mainly one of the biggest things I think I would always cherish, and to this day, I still have little things in the back of my mind that knowing that I have my son now and he's here to
Mhm.
see me play. Um, it's changed me in the way of more responsibility for sure.
Yeah.
More pressure, more pressure. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
because I do have a little dependent person. Just
Yeah. It's a lot.
can't do much for himself, and all he can really rely on is that his parents are doing the best they can to give
Right.
him the life and hopefully the future that he deserves.
Mhm.
But yeah, and as a teammate, I mean, it's hard because I still feel like that's another life, another person compared to being at home and being a
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
husband or a father.
That
Because
dog comes out when you're at training, when you got to turn
yeah,
it off when you're at home.
the dog comes out, but I'm a friendly dog. I'm a friendly dog,
Yeah.
man. I'm a playful dog. I don't I'm not a violent guy unless it gets to game time and training when something bad happens. But I like
Yeah.
to communicate with my teammates. I like to joke around, have fun, because I know that's like the biggest thing people speak about after their careers is missing that camaraderie, that
Yeah.
locker room. They don't talk about missing playing the game. They miss that environment. You
The
know,
environment. There's nothing
so
like it.
so I'm trying to cherish that as much as possible and try to be present there because I've met a great group of guys throughout my career, teammates, friends, and I would never forget those memories for sure. And I want to continue making more new memories for as long as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, like walking out with my son, being able to do those kind of things this past season. Unfortunately, we ended the season not with the first loss in the first round of playoffs, which kind of sucked. But my son was always crying, wanted me to take him into the locker, just wanted to be with his dad.
Yeah. I love that, man.
Yeah,
That's so
so
dope.
I would take him in, and I was like, well, this is the last game of the season. I'm seeing the field; it's empty. He's running. I find somebody with a soccer ball, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's go kick the ball around. Let's go mess around a little bit. So we're just there.
Yeah.
He's kicking the ball. He's running. He's jumping on the ball. He's screaming because he's falling, trying to see what kind of reaction I'll get. And then finally get him to go towards the goal, and he scores. And right away, he knows like he's
Yeah.
only two, but he's
He
smart.
knows. Yeah.
He knows. So once you see that ball go in the back of the net, he's turning around, putting his
Like,
arms in
where's
the air,
Pop?
like hey, I scored. So that was a dope memory, and that me and my son got to experience
Yeah, man. That's
and
dope.
do.
I love
Yeah,
that. So when
yeah,
you obviously your dad played a huge role in your life, especially when it comes to soccer, and now you have your son Enzo. What do you hope he becomes? I imagine you want him to play soccer in a perfect world, as do I want my
yeah.
son and my daughter as well. But ultimately I'm happy with whatever they do. But what are your
Hmm.
hopes? What are your hopes for your son, Enzo?
No, exactly. I mean, I can pray every day that he becomes a soccer player or not, but honestly, I'm not forcing him. I don't really care. I do want him to play a sport. That would be great. Any kind of sport, just to have that,
Hmm.
competitive side of the family back into that. Like I don't want to just sit back, relax. But looking at him and seeing him grow and the personality he's showing, he's a very intelligent little guy in a good way and a bad way. So so I can see he's getting his mother's brains, and that's going to be fun to kind of, see how that progresses. But yeah, no, I just, pray and hope he becomes just a great person, a fun person to be around, a nice person, respectful
Yeah.
man, just somebody that everybody can talk good about and want to hang around with. And the sports side, if it comes, it comes. But if it
Yeah.
doesn't, then it's totally fine. I just want him to know that I'm always going to be there for him, and he can always come to me with anything, and we can have a great special bond, outside of anything.
Right. Last question for you, Eric, right? Every family passes down values and sometimes wounds as well. What do you hope that your son inherits from you, and what do you hope he doesn't?
I hope he inherits my competitiveness, my grind, like my commitment to always be better than everybody. Um, the work ethic for sure. I hope he doesn't get my temper, my my temper, my anger. Um, I get pretty hot-headed pretty quickly if I don't get my way. But like any other kid, if they don't get their way, they're going to throw tantrums. Um,
Exactly.
but but yeah, and also just not being able to speak up for himself. That's
Mm.
one thing I hope he doesn't get from me. I'm a very very like quiet guy when it comes to like conversation. I'm not the one to try to be in the mix of it all. I'll just try to be the bigger person, but sometimes there's a time for that and there isn't. And I'm learning that more and more, especially with a wife and a son.
Yeah.
Those are, my two main priorities, and I can't let anybody disrespect them or hurt them. So there will be times where I do need to, speak up and be in a conversation with somebody. And if it gets to another level, then that's what I have to do as a husband, as a father. But but yeah, just also like just saying whatever's on his chest. I'm very quiet. I hold my emotions in. I don't like to speak about them. And but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, he's gonna become the person that he is meant to be.